the thing I wanted to talk about today was the importance of having a formula for sales if you own a business or if you're managing a business. And what I'm talking about when I say a formula, I mean something as simple as A plus B plus C equals D, which is what we learned when we were in elementary school, the basic algebra. And we learned formulas because we know that those things are controllable, predictable methods that we can continually use to get different outcomes. So we can plug in different variables into A, B, C, D, A, B, C to get a different D. And that was so simple. We learned it in elementary school. We learned formulas when we're just really little kids. And there's something so reassuring about a formula because it's predictable. It gives you comfort and confidence. And if you're running a business or you're trying to accomplish any type of a goal, it can feel confusing. And the consequence of not having clarity on the formulas are these: your feelings can be all over the place. You can feel unclear. You can feel out of control. You can feel unsuccessful. You can feel confused about what creates results. You can feel ups and downs because, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I have a client and other times I don't have any clients, and you can't predict your revenue. So you feel icky, and it can make you even feel an untruth, which is being unsuccessful, just because you don't have clarity on your sales formula. And so I think it's very important to have a formula which means a written down plan, a sales plan for how you create sales. And I want to ask anyone who's watching how you feel on a scale from 0 to 100 about your own sales process, or about the clarity about the steps that you can take to be able to create the results that you want in terms of revenue for your business that you're managing. And so the first area that I usually ask people about is your sales script. Do you have a clear sales script? One that has visuals or a repeatable thing that you say over and over and over again to explain your services, the benefits of working with you, the costs, the process. That is called a sales script. It's a written thing that you actually can have in front of you. And if you own a business where you're a solopreneur, meaning you're the main person executing, you need to have that because you are running all over wearing a million hats and trying to solve a million problems. And you have to get into a certain mindset when you are doing sales. When you are helping a new potential lead become a client, you need to write it down so that you can be sure you say the right things. You're not influenced by the circumstances. So the first question I'm asking anyone who's watching is about your sales script. Do you have one? And if you don't, how do you feel in general about the process? Even if it's not written down, how do you feel about it? For those of you who are watching who have a larger business, it is really important to have a written sales script, because if you don't, how do you scale? You, the person who cracked the code to be able to get the first client and get the processes going, have something magical inside of you. You understood at some point, if you ever closed one sale, you understood the needs of a customer. And if that special thing was capable, if everyone in the world was capable of understanding that, you'd have a million competitors, but you don't. If you are the entrepreneur and you started this business, that means you understood your customer in a very unique way. The words, the inflections that you use to create these customers out of leads is special. And you can't expect any new employee to hop on board and all of a sudden learn everything that you knew inside of your head without a sales script. A sales script, writing one, the process of writing your script and your formula for creating sales will help a person to understand those key little nuances that make the difference between your competitors and yourself, that can convince a person that, wow, I'm a lead, I'm a potential customer, and I really believe that this company or this person understands where I'm coming from enough to be able to want to work with me. So this is one of the 7 questions I'm asking anyone who's watching right now is, do you have a simple sales script with visuals? And so it should include words and visuals that you repeat to help people to move from leads to customers. And how do you feel on a scale from 0 to 100? 100 being, I feel amazing, I'm really good at it. And 0 being, okay, I don't even begin to know why customers buy from me. And you should ask this question of yourself, because if you don't have a 100 answer, you can work on it. You can work on your sales script. And there's a lot of resources out there on the internet, but the key thing is you will never have a sales script all of a sudden magically appear. You have to schedule time to work on it. And once you've written it, you can continue to iterate it and improve it and figure out, what's the most effective way of communicating with my customer? But it's super important to have one. And if you don't feel strong and confident about your business, or like you feel like you can understand where, what you need to do to create more revenue, then this is one of the first steps you can take, is working on a sales script. And for anybody who is watching this, either now or in the future, I want to tell you I can help you with that. I am a business consultant and I work with people every day to help them improve their sales. And so at the end of this, I'm going to talk about the Start to Sold course, which I'm launching. It's an 8-week boot camp where we are going to literally write your sales script, and we're going to do it together as a group. So you get some support and other people giving you feedback, so you can be confident that your sales script is going to be effective and simple. So that's one question I'm asking, is about your sales script. Another question I want to ask you about when it comes to answering that question, why do I need a written formula for my sales? I want to ask you, do you know what type of customer you can help? So are you clear about, out of 100 people that you meet in a lineup, do you know what questions to ask to sift through those 100 people and make those conversations efficient and say, out of 100 people, 10 of those people in that lineup were perfect for me. I am a good solution for their problem. Can you imagine a world where you felt that confident, walking up to any human in the world, being able to offer your services and say, I know I can help you. I know I can't help you. That is a great feeling. And the value of being clear on your target customer is not just being able to find quickly, efficiently customers. That is one of the benefits. You save time. You're able to talk to 100 leads, meet 100 people at a trade show, and quickly, narrow in who you should be spending your energy on, and letting the other ones know, hey, I can't help you. That process right there improves your relationship. It creates transparency, trust. Even the customers I have turned down end up liking me because they felt like I saved them some time. And I was really clear on who they were. I could usually even tell them, hey, I'm not the right person for you. You should go somewhere else. And here's the reason why. And it made them more efficient at finding a solution. So it can benefit, knowing your target customer can benefit your customer relationship in general. You'll just feel great. Okay. You will feel better about yourself, and they will feel better about you. But also, it just gives you that confidence. So there's the external benefits of just saving time, sifting through people, but internally, you create a level of confidence when you know who your target customer is. If I know I can help you and you start talking to me, I ask you questions, and I suddenly get this magnetic pull. And this is true. This is truly how I generate sales. When I'm talking to someone, I ask questions, and when I feel this electricity, I know that my mind is recognizing answers to the questions that I've written out. So it moved from a feeling to an actual mental understanding that I can help that person because they answered certain questions and gave me, clear flags that is a person who matches my target customer. And the ancillary benefit to that is then I know why they're buying and why they're not buying. So I'm not feeling like, oh, they didn't buy from me because they didn't like me, or they didn't buy from me because I don't know. That level of confusion is excruciating, and it creates friction in your business, slowing you down from actually converting customers and helping people. Like, let's just get past this initial dating process and get into where we want to be, which is doing business together. So the benefit of having a clear customer avatar or a clear customer checklist of who you're looking for enables you to close deals faster and feel more confident. So that is the question, is where do you feel? How do you feel on a scale from 0 to 100 about knowing your target customer? Do you feel awesome at 100, or do you feel like a 0? And if you don't have clarity on that, if you don't feel clarity about your target customer, cool, no worries. You can work on it. Your target customer will evolve over time. What my target customer was when I first started my packaging company, which is Pearl Resourcing, a company that I have owned for over 9 years doing packaging design. It's a different customer now. It's a different person. It's a different process. So it's okay and it's important to evolve. But the more clear you are in who you're looking for, the more effective you will be at finding them and serving them. So that was my question number 2 of 7. I now have question number 3. I want to know how you feel on a scale from 0 to 100 about why a customer does not buy. Are you clear what their objections are and how to address those objections? So I'm saying this because if a person doesn't, if they schedule a meeting with you and then they don't purchase, there's a reason. And if you haven't asked the question why, or you have not asked the question at least on the phone call, what is it? What are they thinking? What is it? What are the questions that you can address? And how can you help them to feel more confident that you're the right person? If you're not clear on those things, then sometimes it feels like a waste of your time doing a sales pitch, which is what we don't want. That level of confusion, again, creates friction, wasted time, and it prevents you from being able to address those concerns on the call. People want to buy from you. If they showed up to a free consult, or they sent you an email inquiry, or they called you asking for information, they actually want to buy. Pew. For anyone who thinks that they're bad at sales and hates sales, that might be a mind-blowing concept. You might be like, ugh, sales, gross, icky, 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 get it off me. Most people think that they're not salespeople. But the cool truth of the matter is that everyone has problems. And sales is really the act of delivering the solution, helping the person to find the solution to solve their problem. You're a helper. That is truly how I feel that I am when I'm doing sales, is I'm looking for the best way to help that person. So if a person shows up to a call, they literally are ready to buy. They want you to convince them that you're the solution and that it's worth the amount of money that they are about to pay. And that includes being above budget. If you truly could solve their problem in a way that is worth more than what they were originally planning to spend, they will be glad to pay it if they are confident that you can deliver the true result, the true solution to the pain point and the problem that they think they have. I can give you a great example. I recently hired someone to work in our yard, and they gave a very low price, which was very exciting. But they also promised a lot. They said that they were going to do these wonderful things, and I believed them. And I met with a different practitioner or person who works in the yard and designs for your yard. And they charged a whole heck of a lot more, but they convinced me of way less. They sent pictures that did not show that they had listened to any of my requests. And what was so weird is that they were, I would say, $15,000 above budget. And this other company came in under budget. And had that more professional person, the person who had like a whole agency behind him, had he actually shown up and given us something just a little bit less, maybe $10,000 above budget, but had really understood us, we would have hired him. I was willing to go above the budget I told him if I believed that with confidence that he was going to listen to me, understand what we wanted, and deliver it. But he didn't. There were some objections that I felt in my mind that he was not listening to. And I literally expressed every objection that I had to working with him, all of the goals and ambitions, and he didn't listen. So if you're not even a good listener to their objections, to a potential lead's objections, what in the world makes you think that they would ever want to work with you? Because it means you're not a good listener. It means if you can't understand why a person may not want to buy, you won't be able to convince them of why they should buy. So understanding objections, having it written down, a clear list of what objections a person might have in buying from you and what your appropriate response should be is really crucial to you successfully increasing your sales ratio, increasing your revenue, generating a more successful business, and increasing customer confidence. There's all of these benefits to being clear on the objections that people have when they're coming to buy from you. And the really cool thing is, when I'm talking about this, I'm not just saying you should know a way to convince every single person to buy. That's not what addressing an objection needs to necessarily be. It should be an honest answer to their objections, because sometimes an objection is a real reason why you don't want to work with them. Maybe they don't want to pay the price that it costs to launch something. And you should know that if their objection is price, then you should know upfront, like, oh, that's good to know. You're not actually my target customer because you're in too early of a beginning stage. You don't have the budget. This person wants to be much more involved and do the labor bootstrap themselves. So an objection is really helpful to help you understand who that person is, whether they are your target customer and you can successfully help them or not. So again, I'm asking 3 of 7 questions. And I would like to know, where do you stand on this from a scale from 0 to 100? How clear are you on the objections that potential customers have? And do you have written answers or solutions to those objections? Where is it written? Where is it written in your journal or your business model or your employee standard operating procedures? Do you have that written down? If not, maybe this is one way you can improve your results for this coming year. As we approach Q4 and we all are thinking of our sales goals, you want to hit your goals and make enough revenue. And so I'm asking this question of you because if you don't have it written down, dude, just dedicate an hour at least on your calendar, put it there and work on your objections, write them out and ask people their objections. You don't have to come up with it yourself. You can literally ask your target customer, hey, why didn't you buy? And they will tell you what their questions are and their objections are to help you create an accurate list of objections to be able to address them better in the future. And if you feel that you're not capable of doing that, or that you are capable, but you are so busy, you need someone else to help you, you can hire a consultant, you can go find a mentor, or you can join the Start to Sold Bootcamp, which is an 8-week course where we are going to go over all of these 7 elements, these questions, and create a sales formula for your business so that you have those things written down and have a lot of confidence about it. And you can go to my website to go check out this course that's going to be launching at the end of the month, which is so exciting. So I want to talk to you about another point out of these 7 questions that really can help you to create better results in terms of revenue, faster sales. And the question is, are you confident about your offers and pricing? Do your offers and pricing really solve the problem that your customers have? And I ask this, I want to know how you feel on a scale from 0 to 100, because there is somewhere in the back of our heads the belief that price should be correlated, caused by the cost that something takes. But actually, the truth in economics is that cost and price are not correlated or not directly linked. They might be moving together, but they're not causally related together. The thing that should determine price, in your business is perceived value. And I'm pausing to let that sink in. It may not feel like a very impactful statement because you're like, what are you talking about? Perceived value. Perceived value is actually the thing that should determine the price of any product. And I can prove that to you by going into a grocery store, which I've done. I've got a whole YouTube video about it. And you can see 2 bottles of 16-ounce water side by side on the shelf. One can be 49 cents because it's a private label brand, by Kroger, or it's like a cheap brand. And right next door to it, you can have Voss selling 16 ounces of water for $5.99. What? It's both water. Both argue that they are coming from exotic springs in the Alps. So these products are literally identical. You could argue that the packaging for Voss costs more, which is totally true. But this is not the only explanation. It's about perceived value. There are people in the world who are willing to pay $5.99 for the exact same product, which is water, and get it in the form of the Voss brand. And this is such a cool, unique example of how perception is actually the most important thing, of the perception of value. And when you're creating services or packages or pricing, you want to understand what people are wanting to pay. That's an important way of developing a package that you're going to offer at a price. But you also want to be really clear on how to clarify the value that that person's going to get. And I regularly meet with people who have issues with pricing. There's one but consulting client who worked with me, and he was doing $500,000 in revenue and was not making enough profit to pay himself a salary. And he couldn't figure out why he had tons of sales, he had tons of customers. And so he hired me, we met regularly, and I ended up helping him to recreate different packages, meaning he was actually selling rice, a rice farmer of all things. And we reorganized the packages so that they were in different sizes. We designed it so that it actually looked more boutique, because he was actually selling a really boutique specialty item, an organic, hard to find heirloom item. And we also raised the price. So we changed the offer that was going out, and the price. And he is now making profit. He's doubled his revenue without doing any additional work. And obviously is able to even get new customers because he's better at articulating the value of what he has. And so that is his offer and his price. Those things have been revised. And so I want to ask you, on a scale from 0 to 100, how confident are you on the offer and the price that you are giving to people? And if people are not buying, it's possible that you either have the wrong price or you have the wrong offer. And if you're not clear on it, you don't take time to look at it, then it will sometimes feel like, oh, people just don't like my product, or I'm not doing a good job. Maybe it's just how you've packaged it. That can be worked on, that can be improved on. And you can even literally ask your customers. Sometimes your customer is the person who can tell you. They usually won't tell you that they want to pay more. Sometimes they will. I would pay more if you gave and included X. I would pay more if you included Y. But in terms of products, like a product-based business, you can test different packaging. You can see what customers will buy by looking at the competitors on the shelf. There's a million ways that you can evaluate and try to test the market to see if a different offer and a different price would be receptive to your audience. And sometimes that by itself can be the micro level difference between making enough profit every year so that you can actually take a vacation and pay yourself a salary and not doing those things. So that's question 4 of 7 about taking more control of your business. And I want to ask you the 5th question. So if you're watching right now, I'd love to see a little comment here. I'm doing a live stream across multiple platforms, and so I'm saying hello to everybody out there on this Labor Day. And I have about 10 more minutes of things to talk about with you. So if you're just joining now, we're talking about why you need to have a repeatable sales formula for your business. And we're about to launch into the end of Labor Day. Is going to mark a very busy season where everyone's going to be hustling to close this year strong. And so I'm saying to you, let's close this year strong. And the way you do it is by focusing on your sales. And if you feel stress about your sales process or about your results, or you feel like you lack control of your revenue, oftentimes what you need to do is come back to the fundamentals and look at the process, the formula, and write a repeatable formula so you don't feel so stressed out like it's not in your control. It is in your control. Your sales are literally in your control. There are simple variables that I'm going to go over in upcoming lives, but also when I do consulting and when I do the Start Sold course, which is going live. There are things within your control, and it's so easy to forget that you have tools that you can actually use, actions that you can take to be able to go out and create new revenue for yourself. And so I want to talk through these different pieces that are tools to help you create repeatable sales today and also in the future. So my question number 5 of 7 is, do you know where to find more customers so you don't always feel like you're scrambling? So on a scale from 0 to 100, how comfortable do you feel saying, yes, I know how to find customers, and it's easy to do. Every time I go there, I'm able to fish for fish and I pull up a whale. If you don't know where your customers are at, don't worry. It actually takes a lot of iteration. It took me a lot of iteration to be able to, like throwing spaghetti at the wall, to be able to try to find where my customers exist. But after that process of throwing spaghetti at the wall, you don't keep throwing spaghetti. You find the best noodle, the noodle out of the 100 that you threw at the wall that sticks and doesn't move. And you can only find that by going out there and meeting people as many times as possible in a million different ways. And you'll be more efficient at it if you are clear on your target customer, which was question number 2. If you know who your target customer is, you're going to be more efficient at your fishing. Like imagine trying to fish for a certain type of fish, like salmon, and you're going into weird little ponds. Okay, that is a mismatch of your target and the location of where you're going to find that target. You need to be clear on what targets exist. So you could itemize every place that a fish has ever been, and use your target customer, your target, to reduce where you're going to be fishing. And so let's just say we realize, oh my gosh, salmon are running up in more often in the Bay Area and in Canada, the north, and they're in certain rivers and they're in the ocean. So if we've narrowed at least it down a little bit, it makes us more efficient of using our time. And eventually you're going to find, I'm really good at fishing on a river over the ocean. And whenever I go to this one river or these 5 rivers, I always catch a fish, or I usually catch a fish. This example of fishing is literally parallel to running a business and generating sales or revenue or new customers. It's a repeatable formula. You have to use common sense and a little bit of self-inspection, but you can create a reliable source of leads when you stop to think about your process and write it down like a formula. And once you've done that, you don't feel like you're scrambling anymore. I hate that feeling when you don't have a customer in the pipeline in a project that you're currently working on. It's an anxiety-ridden moment in your life. You feel awful. And I don't want that to be true for you. And what's interesting is that with a little bit of time, you can identify where customers are hanging out. Your target customers are already out there in the world gathering. Sometimes they're not even looking for you. So for example, when I had my packaging company, I would go to trade shows not for packaging. And the reason why is because there's too many other people out there selling packaging. It was the worst place for me to personally be able to succeed on it as a small business. Instead, I went to where people who need packaging actually are looking for what they're looking for. They're hunting for their customers, meaning they're trying to find new retailers who wanted to buy their products. And once they would meet with a retailer, the retailer would tell them, you don't have the right packaging. And I would be there in the moment of pain and frustration where they had the worst elements of their problem, and I would offer them a solution. And I was very successful in that environment because I was thinking through not the most obvious place to go look for customers, although I'm sure that works for some people. But I was thinking through where my target customer's pain point was being experienced the most brutally. And I went to that spot, which created a lot of openness. It wasn't a cold call. It was a warm call because I showed up in their moment of need as the knight in shining armor. These things can be thought through strategically. And the more effective you are at going to where your customer is feeling the pain of needing your solution, the more effective your sales process will be. So if you don't have clarity on that and you haven't written it down, then of course you're going out there like with a shotgun approach trying to get customers and it's not working. Makes you tired, makes you exhausted. I don't want that for you. So you need to make time on your schedule. I'm pointing here because my computer, I've got a big Apple computer right here. You got to go put that on your calendar. Make time to clarify where you should be looking, the location of where you should be looking for your target customer. So the other thing I want to ask you is this question 6 of 7 is how many customers and packages should you sell to ensure you hit your sales goals? Do you know how many customers you need to have? How many packages you need to sell? Do you know what your closing ratio for each of those packages are? If you haven't looked at it like it's a formula, it can literally be an Excel spreadsheet where you have on one side the list of your different services. So I'm going to give you the example of my packaging company. On the left-hand side, we have 6 core services. And of those 6 services, we have different closing ratios. We do a few brands. So we do probably between 4 and 8 brands in a year. We can't handle more because we're a small business and we really like to give thoughtful, in-depth, revolutionary branding. But underneath that is packaging artwork. So designing fresh packaging. That's something we can do 10 a month. We can do 25 a month. We have a lot of capacity because once the brand is figured out, we can do packaging artwork a lot faster. And so if I have a sales goal and I've written out what that goal is, okay, I'm going to do $1 million in revenue. At the beginning of every year, I need to write out exactly how many packages I need to create and sell in order to hit that $1 million revenue goal. If you don't write out your goals, you're not going to be able to create those goals and turn them into reality. It's so hard. And every year that I haven't written goals, I don't have the same type of clarity. I don't have the same closing ratio. I don't have the same satisfaction, feeling of growth in my business. And I've worked with so many different customers. There was one customer for consulting. She hired me. She actually she's an attorney, and she was working with someone else as a sort of underneath them in their business, and she wanted to launch her own. And the first thing we did is we wrote out her sales formula, and we talked through how many customers would she need to be able to generate the revenue of her dreams. And the really cool thing is once she saw that on paper, how simple it was based on the different packages that she had to be able to create the revenue that she wanted, she suddenly had the confidence and clarity like, oh my gosh, I can start my own business. I can go out there and leave where I am and actually accomplish this. This is a feasible, reasonable thing for me. And if you haven't written it out yet, if you don't know a formula about the number of customers, the number of packages, the number of people you need to talk to be able to create that many customers, it doesn't feel like it's in your control, and you lack clarity for the end of what you're doing today. You're too lost in today and not focused enough in the future to be able to bring the future about. And so all you need to do, good news, don't stress out. If you're a 0 on that scale from 0 to 100 and you feel very bad about and unclear about how many customers you need to have to be able to create the revenue that you need in your business, you can fix that. You can literally go fix it tomorrow. You don't have to hire a consultant or go into a course. It makes it easier because you have accountability when you have like feelings that are getting in the way. But all it takes is you to go create an Excel spreadsheet or a pen and paper and write it out. I want to make $1 million in revenue. My costs, are 50% of my total revenue, my gross costs. This is how much in profit I want to take home every year. You can write it down as an end goal and then figure out backwards how many services you need to sell in order to be able to generate that revenue. When you do that, you suddenly have an aha moment like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Or, oh my gosh, I need to change my pricing. It solves so many problems having a written formula. So the last question number 7 of 7 that I'd like to know your sincere answer to is, what makes some customers repeat buy over and over again? How do you feel on a scale from 1 to 10 about clarity? How clear do you feel on a scale from 0 to 100 about why customers buy over and over again? What's the reason? And some of us don't even want to look at that because it also means we have to look at why some customers don't buy over and over again. But repeat customers is an important foundation to any business. And that's because it takes so much energy to convert one lead into a customer. It's expensive in terms of your time, your money, your resources. And if you can have that customer have a wonderful experience, convert from a first-time buyer to a repeat buyer, the result for you will be less effort being exuded in a million different directions, and you can actually become more profitable, more restful, because you actually have a relationship and a rhythm. You can schedule things in advance. That person already is educated on how to work with you. And even if they aren't repeat buying, if they are at least madly in love with you and they thought the experience was wonderful, they can give you a referral. Referrals, those are wonderful. We all want referrals. It makes our job so much easier. And so my question to you is, what makes some customers repeat buy in your business? Are you clear? I'll just go from 0 to 100 on that. If you can't answer 100% yes to that, to all of these questions, it's totally normal. Obviously, everyone's in a moment of evolution in their business, or even in pitching themselves to go work, like go get a job. That is also a sales job. And we can't all answer 100% yes to every single one of those questions. But the important thing I want someone watching or listening to take away is that it is important to dedicate time to any area that you want to grow. What you focus on will grow. It's kind of like a law of the universe that when you become aware of something and you're watching it, you're managing that area, it will grow and it will become stronger. So that's point number one, is you need to focus on what you want to accomplish this coming year. And the second thing is that when it's written down like a formula, it allows you to have mental confidence and space to be able to go about doing the millions of other things that you have to do to be able to thrive and survive in any business you're managing. It should be written down because there's holes. There's always holes in your awareness of why people buy, whether it's your own self because you're too frantic, getting stressed out doing other things, and you need an anchor to come back to refresh, like, okay, what is my process? What am I doing here? Why do people buy? So you can show up as the person you want to show up as. If you have a larger business, you need this because you can't scale unless people are on the same page, preaching the same message, saying the same things, trying to accomplish and deliver the same stuff. When you don't have a sales process, you can't train people and they won't be as successful at scaling the way that you were. And you will feel frustrated not being able to get to the revenue goals. And it's not fair technically to them. Why should they know? Why should they know how to sell your product and your business and deliver the same way that you do? It's your unique magic. And the kind and awesome, smart leadership thing to do is to write it down as a system, as a process, as a training, so you can get your entire team on board. And I think that brings me to one of my last points, is that if you have a business and you have anyone else who works for you, whether it's a contractor or employee, and they're responsible for delivering on any of the promises you make in your business, they all should be trained on sales, on your sales process, because sales process is the lifeblood of a company. It's the thing that keeps the lights on. It is actually not just the act of doing the thing, like whether you're an artist, and if you are an artist, you can do art and not get paid for it and not have customers. That's called a hobby, or you're an artist. It's not the same thing as having a business. A business has this important element of structure, which has to do with wooing customers, causing them to have interest in you and your service, creating a process to deliver what they want and give it to them in exchange for money. And it's the way that you actually create value in the world. You give to people by creating sales. You can't, if you have a business and you don't get anyone to come and buy from it, what good are you doing? It's actually a generous, loving thing to go out and do sales in an honest way. When you're inviting people into what you can do for them, it's a kind and loving thing when it's done honestly. So I want to address that because some people are scared of sales and think that they don't like it. Everyone in your company is a salesperson. They have to sell to each other, whether you're convincing someone else on your team to help you in operations to deliver products on time, in your accounting, how you're charging people, how you're paying your bills. These things are about influencing communication, and all of it comes together to finding a customer and solving their problem. So I personally believe everybody on a team, from people unrelated to sales all the way down to your salespeople, should be able to have access to a written formula about how a business runs and how you deliver and satisfy customers, and be educated on it so that they can contribute to delivering on what the promises that you and your company are going to make. So that is the big picture of what I wanted to ask people out there and address and be able to add value to you on. Is I am a business consultant. So if you are interested in working with someone to help write your sales formula so that you feel more confidence in your business, you can either hire me for one-to-one consulting at emilyannpage.com, or you can join the 8-week Start to Sold Bootcamp starting September 19th. We are going to work on writing a sales process as a group, as a team, and be able to get you to 100% on all 7 of those questions that we just went over. And that's important because you will feel more confident and in control of your outcomes for this ending of this year. You'll feel more in control of your business and have clarity about, you know what, no more mind drama. This is as simple as me showing up. It's a formula. So I hope that that is encouraging to you. And if you're interested in joining the Start to Sold course, let me see here how I can get the chat to get cracking. You can just go to my website, and it's emilyannpage.com, and you can sign up. You can sign up for the course. It says sales course at the top of the menu. And if you're not sure, you can also sign up for a 30-minute free consult with me on my website, emilyannpage.com, and I can talk to you about one-to-one consulting. I can talk to you about your sales process and also explain what the sales course is going to be all about. So if you're out there, I'm just sending you light and love in the middle of this beautiful Labor Day. I hope you have amazing time with your family, and I hope you hit all of your sales goals, growth goals for this coming year. And I love you, and I will talk to you another day. Bye. Thanks for joining me.